Good day. Welcome to my math class. I am teacher Casey. Our objectives for this morning is to factor completely the different polynomials with perfect square trinomials, general trinomials where a is equal to 1 and where a is greater than 1, and the second one is we're going to solve problem involving factors of polynomials. For our week 2 lesson, we're going to have our continuation of factoring polynomials. And we're going to factor perfect square trinomials or PST, quadratic trinomials where a is equal to 1, and quadratic trinomials where a is not equal to 1 or greater than 1. If the problem is a perfect square trinomial or PST, the answer is square of binomial. Let us factor a squared plus 2ab plus b squared under perfect square trinomial. You need to check if the leading term and the last term has a square root. So, tingnan po natin ang leading term, yung first term and last term kung may square root ba siya. So that you can factor it under perfect square trinomial or PST. So, you need to find the square root of a, first term, so a, and find the square root of the second term, that is b. Therefore, you can simply write quantity a plus b squared. As you can see here, I'm just getting the square root of the first term and the square root of the last term. Don't mind the middle term. So, sabi niya malaki na siya, independent na yan, huwag niyo nang pakialaman. Okay. Let's try another one. We're going to factor x squared plus 6x plus 9. So, by finding the square root of the first term, so we have x squared, so x and x. And finding the square root of the last term, that is square root of 9, which will give you 3. Therefore, we can simply write quantity x plus 3 squared. Get the square root of the first term and get the square root of the last term. So, the factors of x squared plus 6x plus 9 is quantity x plus 3 and quantity x plus 3, or just simply say quantities x plus 3 squared. Let's try another example under perfect square trinomial or PST. We're going to factor 4x squared minus 20xy plus 25y squared. Okay, I want you to take note of the sign. Yeah, be careful with the sign. This is important. If you have incorrect sign, your answer or your factor will be wrong. Okay, so you need to find the square root of the first term and the square root of the last term. So we have quantity 4x squared, the square root is 2x and 2x. And the square root of 25y squared will give you 5y. So the answer must be quantity 2x minus 5y squared. Let's proceed to factoring quadratic trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is equal to 1. Let us have an example. X squared plus 7x plus 10. So, you need to list all the factors of your last term, which is 10. Ilista daw po lahat ng factors ng 10. Yung number na, the two numbers na if you're going to multiply, the answer is 10. So, we have 1 times 10, negative 1 times negative 10, 2 times 5, negative 2 times negative 5. After you list all the factors, you think of the factors which must be give you the sum of 7, which is the numerical coefficient of the middle term. So, pipili ka daw ng factors dito sa 10 mo na nailista mo na ang sum or ang total ay equivalent to 7 or the numerical coefficient of the middle term. So, that is 2 plus 5, diba? Or 2 times 5 will give you 10. 2 plus 5 will give you 7 as the numerical coefficient of the middle term. So, the factors of x squared plus 7x plus 10 are quantity x plus 2 and quantity x plus 5. Let's have another one. X squared minus 8x plus 12. So, list all the factors of 12. So, we have 1 times 12, negative 1 times negative 12, 2 times 6, negative 2 times negative 6, negative 3 times negative 4, 3 times 4. And after that, you choose which factors will give you the sum of negative 8 as the numerical coefficient of the middle term. So, that is negative 2 plus negative 6 is equivalent to negative 8, diba? Adding of integers, same sign. Add and keep different signs, subtract. Use the sign of the bigger number, then you'll be exact. So that's why we have negative 2 plus negative 6 will give you negative 8. So therefore, the factors of x squared minus 8x plus 12 will give you quantity x minus 2 and quantity x minus 6. How about if we have b squared minus 13b minus 14? Okay, you list all the factors of 14. 1 times negative 14, negative 1 times 14, negative 2 times 7, 2 times negative 7. And after that, you choose among the factors which will give you the sum of negative 13. And that is 1 plus negative 14. Diba? Different sign yan. So you subtract and get the sign of the highest number. So that's why we have negative 13. So the factors of b squared minus 13b minus 14 will be quantity b plus 1 and quantity b minus 14. Let's try another one. If we have x squared plus 5x minus 24, you list all the factors of negative 24. We have 1 times negative 24, negative 1 times 24, negative 2 times 12, 2 times negative 12, 3 times negative 8, negative 3 times 8, negative 4 times 6, and of course, 4 times negative 6. After that, after you list all the factors, you choose among the factors which will give you the sum of positive 5 or the numerical coefficient of your middle term, and that is negative 3 plus 8. This will give you 5 as the sum. Therefore, the factor of x squared plus 5x minus 24 is quantity x minus 3 and quantity x plus 8. Let's try another example. We have b squared plus 13b plus 30. You list all the factors of 30. So we have 1 times 30, negative 1 times negative 30, 2 times 15, negative 2 times negative 15, 3 times 10, negative 3 times negative 10, 5 times 6, and negative 5 times negative 6. You choose among the factors that you have listed, which factors will give you the sum of positive 13. And that is 3 plus 10. 3 times 10 will give you 30. And of course, if you're going to get the sum of this, we have 3 plus 10 will give you 13. That's why we have the factors of b squared plus 13b plus 30 will be x plus or quantity x plus 3 and quantity x plus 10. Let's proceed to factoring quadratic trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c where a is greater than 1. Let's have an example. We have 2k squared minus 11k plus 12. As you can see here, ang leading term ko ngayon ay more than 1 na po ang numerical coefficient. So, 2 and up. 2 and so on and so forth na po ang ating makikita sa leading term. Step 1. You find the product of the leading term and the last term. So, ito yung leading term natin, which is 2k squared, and our last term is 12. So, you need to find the product. You multiply. 2k squared times 12 will give you 24k squared. Step 2. Find the factors of 24k squared whose sum is negative 11k. So, you need to think of the factors of 24k squared that will give you the sum of negative 11k. Where did you get this negative 11k? This is the middle term. Okay? Middle term yan. So, kailangan mo mag-isip ng factors ng 24k squared na pag pinag-add mo ay negative 11k ang sagot. So, that is negative 3k plus negative 8k will give you negative 11k. Pag pinag-multiply mo yan, positive 24k squared ang sagot, diba? Negative 3k times negative 8k will give you 24k squared. For our step 3, you rewrite the trinomials as a four-term expression by replacing the middle term with the sum of the factors. So, ganito lang. Papalitan mo lang yung negative 11k ng minus 8k minus 3k or negative 8k and negative 3k. Saan nanggaling yan? Yan yung factors na hinanap mo. So, papalitan mo lang yung negative 11k kasi this will give you the result as negative 11k din. So, yan ang gagawin mo for step 3. Step 4. you group the terms with a common factor. So, as you can see, basically po, kita naman po natin na yung 2 ay multiples din ng 2 at yung 8 multiples of 2. Then, parehas po silang by k, kaya sila ay nakagroup. Si negative 3k din po, multiples of 3, and of course, yung 12 po, multiples of 3, kaya yan ang magka-group. Step 5, you factor the groups using greatest common monomial factor or the GCMF, or you find the common monomial factor. So, you need to have your skills on finding the CMF of the given polynomials. So, dito, ang common dito sa 2k squared minus 8k ay 2k. Kaya nilabas siya sa parentheses. And the remaining factors are k and negative 4 or k minus 4. So, if you want to check kung tama ba yung factor mo, so check nyo lang, multiply mo by distributive property. 2k times k will give you 2k squared. 2k times negative 4 will give you negative 8k. And then, of course, we have ito, ang common factor between negative 3k plus 12 is 3. So, nilabas natin siya outside the parentheses. And the remaining factors are k minus 4. So, check mo, negative 3 times k, negative 3k. Negative 3 times negative 4 will give you positive 12. For our last step, you're going to factor out the common binomial factor and write the remaining factor as a sum and difference of the CMF. So, we have common factors here, yung k minus 4, pag-isahin mo na lang siya. So, ang matitira dyan, yung 2k tsaka minus 3. So, pagsamahin mo siya, another parenthesis dyan. So, therefore, our factors for 2k squared minus 11k plus 12 will be quantity k minus 4 and quantity 2k minus 3. Let's try another one. So we have 3x squared minus 4x minus 15. So step 1, you find the product of the leading term and the last term. That is 3x squared times negative 15. This will give you negative 45x squared. Okay, so if we're going to find the product of 3x squared times negative 15, will give you negative 45x squared. For our step 2, you need to find the factors of negative 45x squared whose sum is negative 4x. So, kailangan mo mag-isip daw ng factors na ng negative 45x squared na pag pinag-add mo ay negative 4x ang sagot. So, we have negative 9x plus 5x will give you negative 4x. This is your middle term, right? And of course, if you're going to get the product of this will give you negative 45x squared. So, tama na po yung step 2 natin. For our step 3, you rewrite the trinomials as the fourth-term expression by replacing the middle term with the sum of the factors. So, yung negative 9x plus 5x, papalit po yan sa negative 4x. Isusulat mo siya ng ganito. So, we have 3x squared minus 9x plus 5x minus 15. For step 4, we're going to group the terms with common factors. So, basically, ang common factors po ng 3x squared and 9x, siyempre, magkasama yan. And of course, yung 5x minus 15, multiples of 5 yan parehas. So, for step 5 po, you factor the group using greatest common monomial factor. So, common factors between 3x squared minus 9x is 3x. So, 3x, the remaining factors are x minus 3. And of course, yung common factors between 5x minus 15 is 5. The remaining factors are x minus 3. If you want to check kung tama ba yung GCMF mo, i-distribute mo yan. And then you multiply. 3x times x, 3x squared. 3x times negative 3, negative 9x. 5 times x, 5x. 5 times 3, negative 15. So, that is correct. Yung correct na yung GCMF nyo. For our step 6, you factor out the common binomials factor and write the remaining factor as a sum and difference of the CMF. So, as you can see, we have common x minus 3 here. Isulat mo na lang siya ng isa. And then, yung natira po ay 3x plus 5, another parenthesis. So, therefore, the factors of 3x squared minus 4x minus 15 will be quantity x minus 3 and quantity 3x plus 5. For our next example, we have 5x squared minus 13x minus 6. So, you need to factor it. Step 1, find the product of the leading term and the last term. So, 5x squared times negative 6 will give you negative 30x squared. For step 2, you find the factors of negative 30x squared whose sum is negative 13x, which is the middle term of your trinomials. So, pag nag-isip ka ng factors ng negative 30x squared, this will give you negative 15x times 2x. So, that's why we have negative 30x squared. So, pag pinag-add natin siya, negative 15x plus 2x, this will give you negative 13x, and that is your middle term. So, for our step 3, you rewrite the trinomials as a fourth-term expression by replacing the middle term with the sum of the factors. So, we have 5x squared minus 15x plus 2x minus 6. Pinaltan ko lang yung negative 13x nung factor na kinuha nyo. So, ayan, isusulat mo siya ng ganyan ulit. Okay? For step 4, you group the terms with common factors. So we have, basically, ang magka-group dyan ay si 5x squared, si 15x, kasi multiples of 5. Si 2x, and si 6, na minus 6 kasi multiples of 2. Then after that, you find the GCMF. So the common factors between 5x squared minus 15x is 5x. So you put it outside the parentheses, and the remaining factors are x minus 3. Plus 2, common factors between 2x minus 6 po yan. Ang GCMF nilang dalawa ay 2, and the remaining factors are x minus 3. So after that, you factor out the common binomial factor and write the remaining factor as the sum and difference of the CMF. So yung common factor sa kanila, pag isahin mo, which is quantity x minus 3, and of course, yung natitira po, yung 5x plus 2 ay pagsamahin mo and then another parenthesis. That's why our factors for our trinomial 5x squared minus 13x minus 6 is quantity x minus 3 and quantity 5x plus 2. Let's proceed to solving word problem involving factoring polynomials. Let's have the first problem. The area of a square is numerically equal to twice its perimeter. Find the length of the side of the square. So, based on the problem, yung finding the area of a square is equivalent, or the formula in getting the area of a square is equivalent to s squared. And the perimeter, or the formula in getting the perimeter of a square is equivalent to 4s. So, we have here the condition that the area of a square is equivalent to twice to its perimeter. So if I'm going to give you the solutions of our problem, so you need to sketch the square and let S represents the length of each side. So SS. So for equal sides po yan, since we have a square, then the area is represented by S squared. Yan yung formula in getting the area of a square. And of course, we have 4S. This is the formula in getting the perimeter of a square. So by making an equation, so we have S squared is equal to 2 times 4S. Where did you get that 2? Yung 2 po kasi ay equivalent daw po yung area ng square to its, twice to its perimeter. So, that's why we have 2 times 4s. And of course, you just multiply po, s squared is equal to 2 times 4s will give you 8s. And then equate it to 0. So, that's why we have na minus 8s dito kasi po, tatranspose yung 8s on the other side of the equation. So, tumawid siya ng equal sign. So, nagpapalit yan ng sign pag tumatawid ng equal sign yung term. So, after that, you factor s squared minus 8s is equal to 0. So, common factor between s squared and 8s is s. So, ilagay mo siya sa labas ng parentheses. And the term inside the parentheses are the remaining factors. And of course, equate it to 0 again. So, s is equal to 0 or s minus 8 is equal to 0. Or just simply say s is equal to 0 or s is equal to 8. And of course, because 0 is not a reasonable answer to the problem, the solution is 8. So, therefore, the length of the square is 8. Let's try another problem. So, the sum of the ages of the father and the son is 39. If the father is 3 less than the square of the son's age, how old are they? So, ibig sabihin po, pag pinag-add ko daw yung age ni father at saka nung anak niyang lalaki, ang total ay 39. Pero may condition dito na ang age daw ni father ay, ni tatay, ay less than 3 less than the square of the son's age. O, ibig sabihin, i-squared ko pa yung age ni son, nung anak niya lalaki, tapos ma-minusan ko pa ng 3. Let me show you the solution for that problem. So, let x tayo be the son's age and x squared minus 3 is the father's age. Bakit x squared minus 3, teacher? Kasi based on the problem, the age of the father is 3 less than the square of the son's age. Eh, di ba yung x natin, son's age? I-squared mo yun, tapos minus 3 pa. And of course, by forming an equation, x squared minus 3 plus x is equal to 39. Why is it 39? Because ang sabi sa problem ay if we're going to add the age of the father and the son's age, this is equivalent to 39. Kaya po, equal to 39 yan. Pag pinag-add ko na yung age ni father at saka ni anak na lalaki, 39 siya. And of course, by equating it to 0, yung 39 na yung magta-transpose on the other side of the equation. Kaya magiging minus 39 siya. So, negative 3 minus 39, combining like terms, this will give you minus 42 or negative 42. So, yan yung baka mag-isip kayo kung saan nanggaling si negative 42 or si minus 42. Pinagsama ko, kinumbine ko si negative 3 and si negative 39 kasi magta-transpose yan, kaya magiging negative yan. And of course, after that, you just factor your trinomial here, x squared plus x minus 42. You think of the factors which will give you negative 42, and if I'm going to add it, the sum is 1 and x lang siya. So the factors are quantity x plus 7 and quantity x minus 6 is equal to 0. Or just simply say x is equal to negative 7 and x is equal to 6. So, negative 7 is not a reasonable answer kasi po, wala naman pong negative age. So, therefore, the value of your x is 6. So, yung x is the son's age. So, therefore, ang age po nung anak niyang lalaki ay 6 years old. And yung father's age po ay, of course, since we have x squared minus 3, so, i-substitute natin yung value na nakuha natin x, which is 6. So, 6 squared minus 3, this will give you 36. Minus 3 will give you 33. If you want to check kung tama ba yung nakuha mong mga age, di ba ang sabi sa problem, ang total daw ng father's age and son's age is equivalent to 39. So, 33 years old yung tatay plus 6 years old yung bata, yung anak niya lalaki, which the sum is 39. So, therefore, that is correct. Tama po yung nakuha nating value or age ni son. For your reflection, you just have a comment or post a comment on our Google Classroom. I understand that. I realize that. Thank you and God bless you all.